Welcome to Sports Time with Chris. I'm your host, Chris, and today I'll be breaking down the 49ers win against the Chicago Bears this past Sunday, and I'll be previewing the upcoming matchup against the Los Angeles Rams on Thursday Night Football and giving you my score prediction. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Let's talk about this Chicago Bears game. The 49ers beat the Bears 38-13, and this victory for the 49ers was the most frustrating game all season. Why? Because although the Bears just fired their head coach, and I think that did play a role in why this game was so lopsided, this is the team that we expected the 49ers to be all year. And yes, the Chicago Bears are not a good football team. That is a fact. They've held their own against good teams, but they're just not a good football team. And really good football teams do what the 49ers did yesterday to the Bears. So that is why it's frustrating. But there were a lot of good things that came out of that game. I really wanted to see Brock take over, and he did, along with George Kittle. Isaac Guerendo stepped up. Juwan Jennings had a good game, and this defense was solid. This was really their first complete game all season, and we're going to see if they can keep it going. They don't control their own destiny, but if they can somehow get hot and things fall their way, then this team could potentially be a threat in the playoffs. And with that being said, it is definitely an uphill battle to make the playoffs for this team. The Rams beat the Bills, which this Rams team, man, they're dangerous. And even though the Seahawks are first place in the division currently, and they also are looking pretty good. Rams are tough, so the Cardinals have started to take a little bit of a step back. It seems like they haven't been playing as well as they did in the first half of the season, but this Rams team is catching fire, and November, December is when you want to do that as a football team. Seattle's looking solid. I haven't been able to watch those two games. I really want to check out that Bills game because, 44-42 or something like that? Yeah, 44-42. That's crazy. The Bills put up 21 points in the fourth quarter. Wow. I definitely need to go check out that game because that's really awesome. that's what really makes you worried about this Rams team, man. Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford just know how to get it done. That's why I think Sean McVay is one of the top, I'm going to have to say 3 coaches in the league right now. He is just awesome, especially with Matthew Stafford. So I think the Niners' playoff chances dropped yesterday, even though they got a victory, because the teams that they needed to lose did not. And, winning the division is, that's what you want to do, right? Wild cards are where things get tricky because a division winner, this is a little bit broken, but if the best team in a division is 9-8, they can still get into the playoffs, or even if they're 8, if they're the best, the division winners are not always the best of the best in the in their respective conference. Now, sometimes those guys can go in and get hot and make a run, but it's tougher to make a wild card spot because that is when it goes by record, and then of course division wins and all the other tiebreakers that there are. And a lot of the teams in the wild card race, the Niners have played and lost to. Packers, Commanders. We'll have to see. Out of all the teams that are fighting for a wild card spot, the Commanders are probably the weakest out of all of them, and that's saying something because they're 8-5. So and they've looked really good, especially with Jaden Daniels, and the defense has been pretty solid at times. So yeah, there's just a lot of outside looking in for the Niners, and I just want to see them fighting, honestly. And they've had a ton of injuries, so they're relying on a lot of younger guys, a lot of depth pieces. And so, as a fan of this team, what I really want to see them do is just fight and give it their all. Even if things don't fall their way with other teams, they have to rely on other teams. So if that happens, and I want to see them give their best shot, especially with the young guys, seeing what those guys have to offer. Guerendo looked solid. Isaac Guerendo has really impressed me all season long. It seems like at the beginning he struggled a little bit when he got opportunities, but he has seemed to make the most out of each opportunity that he's been given. Again, he looked solid yesterday. Not just as a running back, too. He looked solid in the passing game. He had a crosser on the first drive where I think it was third down and they needed to play, and he got a big gain on that one. And there was it's the same, wheel route that Christian McCaffrey ran, where Brock Purdy threw that fadeaway against Tampa Bay. the exact same play, but this time it was to Guerendo, and he made an awesome diving catch. So he's one of the bright spots for this team, and I'm excited to see him continue to improve as we go forward. Hopefully he's good for this game against the Rams. But yeah, it's time for this group of young guys to step up on this team. And the return of Talanoa Hufanga, I feel like that kind of flew under the radar, and he made a big difference at that strong safety position. It seemed like the defense was much better with him on the field than Jair Brown, which is it's too bad because I was really high on Jair Brown coming into this season. He just has not lived up to expectations. So Hufanga, I really am a big fan of Hufanga. I have been since the beginning. I know he's dealt with some injuries. Obviously, he had the major injury last year with his ACL. So I really hope the Niners can find a way to bring him back next season. I know they have a lot of big contracts that are going to be coming up, and this team might look a little different with some of the other guys who have big contracts on this team. So yeah, that was something that kind of flew under the radar. But it was cool to hear about. Well, it was interesting because their post-game interviews, they talked, several guys, including Kyle Shanahan and Brock, mentioned that Shanahan asked Brock and Deommodore Lenoir to speak to the team before the game. And they gave motivational speeches, which is something that was well known that Nick Bosa did for a while. And George Kittle mentioned that it had been a while since Kyle Shanahan had asked someone to do that. And it makes you wonder, why is that the case? Something with Shanahan has been a little weird this season, in my opinion. It's part of the reason why I've been saying we should move on from him. And it's a little bit odd that at this point in the year, you can try your best to control your destiny, but all you can do is try to win out and rely on other teams to lose. Why wait until now to have these young guys go up and talk to the team and try to motivate them? It's just a little bit weird to me, a little bit odd. It's just a part of what's been weird with this team and especially Kyle all year. So it is cool to hear that those guys stepped up and spoke to the team and addressed that they need to have more urgency, that they need to just be better. So it was interesting. And I was a little, I don't know, just a little bit weird. Something else that's been weird is the way the Niners have used Deebo this year. Now, I know a lot of people think that Deebo is having a down year, which, looking at his numbers and what he has done, it's below what you would expect from Deebo. It's below what Deebo expects from Deebo. And today he mentioned on Twitter that he's not really getting the ball. And, obviously people are talking about that. They're like, actually, you have the second most touches on the team. You ran the ball like 5 times in the game yesterday and had a couple of catches. And what I think Deebo is trying to say is that he hasn't been getting the ball in favorable situations. Like, it seems like every time he touches the ball, it's because they're handing it off to him or running a short screen, something behind the sticks. And so it is very, even though he's made those plays in the past, defenses adjust. And I think he's more upset with the way they're getting him the ball, not necessarily how much he's touching. And I'm sure he knows that this could also be potentially his last year on the team, and that's part of his frustration. So, all right. So now I want to transition into this upcoming Los Angeles Rams game, which is a big game for the Niners. Every game from here on out is big for them. They have several players, and Kyle Shanahan have said that each game from here on out is going to be considered a playoff game. So obviously, let's see what the injury report is looking like. Aaron Banks looks like he should be coming back this week, which is fine. Ben Barch was his replacement. He actually looked pretty decent until he got injured, and then Spencer Burford took over, and he actually did a really good job. So I don't know, Banks hasn't performed at his highest level this year, so I guess him or Burford is going to be the guy. A bunch of guys had limited participation: D. Winters, Malik Mustafa, Yetur Gross-Matos, Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles, and Dre Greenlaw apparently could be making his return in this game. Obviously, I think the logic behind that is that this team still believes they still have playoff aspirations. Otherwise, I don't think they would be risking bringing Dre Greenlaw back this early. And I do think we need to, as fans, temper our expectation for what Dre Greenlaw is going to look like. It's been 10 months since he tore his Achilles. And a lot of times when you have an Achilles injury or, a major injury like that, it's really easy to injure the other one and not play at your highest level. So I don't think we can expect to see the same Dre Greenlaw we've always seen. So I'm going to tamper my expectations with him and hope he looks good and stays healthy for the rest of the year. Nick Bosa, Trent Williams did not participate. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Bosa's been dealing with his injury for a while, so I guess we'll see if somehow he is able to go in this game. Then this 49ers defense is the healthiest it's been in a long time, and this Rams team that they're playing is hot. They just came off a huge win against the Bills where they put up 44 points. Puka Nacua couldn't be stopped. Kyren Williams couldn't be stopped. Stafford. So they're going to need to bring their A game on defense. And then Isaac Guerendo did not participate with a foot sprain. I saw a report that he is a game time decision at this point. At least it appears to be that way. Of course, they're playing in 2 days. It's a short week, so I guess if not, we can expect to see Patrick Taylor and Israel Abanikanda, I think his name is. And yeah, offensively in this game, I think the key is really to control the game. That's what we saw the Rams do last week against the Bills. They were able to control the game. They found things that worked. Obviously, they really liked those little wide receiver sweeps that they ran, those jet sweeps with Puka Nacua, and Kyren Williams is always a weapon as well. So they're going to have to figure out how to slow that offense down. And one way to do that is by controlling the game offensively on your side. So as much as they can run the ball with their backups, they're going to need to. And then Brock is going to have to hold his own as well. Juwan Jennings went off in their first matchup, and Deebo, obviously had his comments about not getting the ball enough. And I don't know, if there's a time for Deebo to have a breakout game, I think this is it for him. He usually has big games against the Rams. He didn't last time, and I just had to look this up because I don't remember him doing anything in the last game. It's because I don't think he played. So obviously that has a lot to do with that. So while yes, the Rams were missing some key pieces in that game as well, I think the Niners are also getting relatively healthy. They still have quite a few injuries, and they're down to their 5th string running back in Patrick Taylor. That's crazy. CMC's out. Elijah Mitchell was on IR at the beginning of the year. Mason's out, and now Guerendo. We'll have to see, but I'm hoping this is a breakout game for Deebo. But just like I've said all season, the main guy that this team needs to game plan for is George Kittle. He is the key. He's the heart and soul of this offense and of this team, really. And we saw what happened when you get him involved. And we saw that last week. They ran multiple tight end screens with him. And George said on one of the screens they hadn't run that play since like 2017 or something. They haven't ran that play in a long time. And it boggles your mind that a guy like Kyle Shanahan doesn't use that kind of play more often, especially when you see what results it gets. So that's what I want to see offensively, is just control the game as much as possible, and Brock be smart with the ball, get it into George's hands, and Deebo. This is the time. This is the time to come out and have your breakout game for 2024. Defensively, this is a tough offense, and they made the Bills defense last week look silly, and that Bills defense is pretty good. They're really good defense. So I think really the key is to make Matthew Stafford uncomfortable. And to do that, you're going to have to somehow find a way to stop Kyren Williams. You're going to have to slow down those. They run a lot of screen plays to Puka, to Cooper Kupp, to their tight ends. They have those end arounds to Puka. So being prepared for those plays, I think, is the most important in this game. They're coming off a short week as well. So you can imagine a lot of their game plan from the Buffalo game is going to also transition over to this week. You don't have time to install a full game plan, and a lot of teams will utilize their previous week's game plan a little bit and during a short week. So be prepared for those things and try to stop or at least slow down this offensive running game, because from there, if you get Stafford into passing situations and you can get pressure on him, he does take some sacks, but he'll also take a lot of chances with the ball. He's going to give you opportunities to go out and get picks, and that's going to be key. It's going to be a big part of how you can control this game. So obviously a lot easier said than done, but stop the run, get Stafford into passing situations where you can make him uncomfortable, and then capitalize on any opportunities he gives you. Big game against the Rams. I really hope that this team is up for it. And last week they looked really, really, really good. And if they're treating these games like it's the playoffs, we're going to see the best out of everyone. That includes Kyle Shanahan. He was on it last week. He got George Kittle involved, which I think is key key going forward. He's the main catalyst for this offense. Get him involved early and run it through him. I think it's going to be a really, really tight fought game. It's going to come down right to the wire, but I do think that the 49ers are going to pull it out here, and they are going to get a last ditch effort to win this game 23-21. Jake Moody game-winning field goal. And something we've been waiting for all season long. The Deebo breakout game is coming, and I think this is going to be it. So it's going to be a big battle against Matthew Stafford for Brock, but I think this team is up for it. Now, let me know what you think. Is this team capable of winning this game and potentially making a playoff run? Each game from here on out is huge for the 49ers, and especially against a division rival where the Niners have had their number for several years. This year they lost to them. I think they're going to come out hungry. They're going to come out firing. Shanahan does not like losing to his previous coaches on his staff, so I think he's going to bring his A game as well. But what do you think? Is this going to be the breakout game for Deebo? Are they going to win against a tough Los Angeles Rams team on Thursday Night Football? And are they going to make playoff run? Let me know down below. And once again, thank you to every single one of you who listens to this podcast. I appreciate you. And if you haven't yet, please go like this video, subscribe to my channel, and help me grow so I can keep doing this. Thanks again. This has been Sports Time with Chris.